Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you back. Today we'll be drawing a basic bodice block together. You use the bodice block in making dresses, tops. It's just basically your client's measurement in a piece of paper. Today we're using the pattern paper to show you how to draft your bodice block. So let's get started, guys. This first thing you have to do is to draw your starting line. You could just measure 2 inches apart from the paper, or like I'm doing, so I'm just marking my ruler. I placed it in a very straight line and I marked it. So this is either called your border line or your starting line. Okay, after that, so that is the line you're going to start taking your measurements from. After the starting line, I took the first measurement that I'll be taking is my bust point measurement. I have put out a video already on how I take my measurements. So if you want to see how to take your bust point measurements and other measurements, kindly click on the link in my description box to take you down to how I take my measurements. So I am here marking my bust point. So after marking my bust point, I still placed it on the starting line. Then I marked my half length. Yes, I marked my half length. That's my waistline. I'm marking my half length now. I'm just trying to put the dots across the pattern paper so that I can mark a straight line, because if I just mark it in one spot and I draw, the lines might not be straight. So now I'm connecting the dots. This one first is for the bust point line. Yes, for the bust point line, and the next line is the waistline. I'm connecting the dots like so. So there's a standard measurement that when you measure 8 inches from your waistline, it takes you automatically to your hip line. So I am measuring my 8 inches right now. I'm marking my 8 inches to get my hip line. So I'll also extend and mark just so I get a straight line from when I connect the dots. Okay. So this is me marking my hip line. So these are your vertical measurements. These are your vertical measurements, your border line, bust point line. I'm labeling the lines now. This is my border line, my bust point line, my waistline, and my hip line. So the next measurement that I'll be taking is my neck measurement, and I'll be using the standard measurement, 3 inches wide and 3 inches below. So after that, I connect the dots together. This is my neck measurement. Then I measured my shoulder from the tip of the line, border line, to the desired shoulder length. Then after which I took it down by 1 inch, yes, for my shoulder slope. Then the next measurement is my chest line. The measurement for your chest line is your bust circumference divided by 6. Then you add 1.5. Bust circumference divided by 6 is your 1.5. This is where we're going to measure the front, the bust in the front. We're going to measure the bust, and also it is where we are going to take and mark our armhole from. So I am remeasuring my shoulder length, yes, so that I'll get a straight line when I'm connecting the dots. Okay, so I've explained how I got my front chest line. Bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. So I have connected the two dots together, and I can tell you that it is a straight line because I had to measure my shoulder distance also before connecting it. So after getting that, the next thing is the dart. You could use your bust point, the distance between your bust, your nipple to nipple measurement, or remember I told you guys that we have what we call across the chest. You could divide your across the chest by 4, or you divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2 to get your dart, where you're going to place your dart. So in my own case, I had 4 inches, so I marked my 4 inches in my bust point line, waistline, and my hip line. Then I took out a ½ inch from each side on the waistline, ½ inch from each side on the waistline. Then I came down by 1 inch from the bust point line. Then I'm connecting the dots. Yes, I'm connecting from 1 inch. Remember, guys, I didn't go straight to the bust point. I came down by 1 inch. I'm connecting the dots. So from the hip measurement and the hip line, I'm going to take out 2 inches. I'm going to connect the dot from 2 inches above the hip line. Okay, you don't take it straight down to your hip line, you take out 2 inches, then you connect your dart. So this is our dart. This is our dart. This from this dart that you could manipulate and get your, like, for the fitness of your clothes, you need a dart. So this is how to get your dart. So guys, you can see that our bodice is forming, right? Okay guys, now I'm measuring my bust. I'm taking my horizontal measurement. I've measured my bust. I have placed my bust. Okay, that's, you make sure you measure your bust in your chest line, not on the bust point line, please. So I've measured my waist. While I was measuring my waist, remember that we took out 1 inch on the dart. So whatever you're measuring, remember to add your 1 inch that you took out in the dart. Yes, so I have connected the dots, my hip line, my chest line, and my waist. I connected the dot and I got the shape like so. Please endeavor to use a pattern master for your connection of your waistline to your hip line. Mine was missing and I had to make this video, so I just used the ruler. But guys, it's not meant to be a ruler. Use your pattern master or your hip cuff to connect your lines, please. Okay, maybe subsequently you get to see. So for your front armhole, you always go in by 1 inch. I went in by 1 inch, yes, for the fitness of your clothes. Some people, when you look at some clothes, you see the bulkiness. It's as a result of not taking out this 1 inch. But for your back armhole, it is going to remain the same. So I am going to connect my back armhole like so. You can see how I placed it. Okay, remember guys, this paper is folded into 2, so we're making 2 different patterns, front and back bodice block together. I'm going to show you guys my zipper allowance. It is also folded in between, so don't get confused. We're marking for both front and back. So after this measurement, we'll go to the back neckline. Remember, and I just went down by 1 inch, then I connected it from the shoulder tip. Okay, okay, then now I am adding my allowance. So you can decide from this place to add your allowance on your fabric or anywhere, but I just decided to add my sewing allowance on the paper. Remember that I told you that you need your pattern master for this session or your hip curve. I really don't know where mine went while I was doing this video, and I just had to continue. You know what they say about procrastination, so I just had to, you know, do it and let you all know that you're not supposed to use a ruler because your body is not straight. You need a curve. So please use your pattern master instead of your ruler. So I added I added 1 inch allowance on the side and ½ inch below. That's on the bottom of the dress. I also added half inch sewing allowance on the shoulder line. Yes, on the shoulder slope. Okay, so now I'm drawing the lines. Okay, I use the pen instead of a marker to show the difference. So you could just use whatever you want and what works for you. Remember that you could do this directly on your fabric. Yeah, it doesn't have to be on the paper, but I'm just showing you in this case. So from here now, we're going to be taking our side darts. Remember that some people, you know, some garments make use of their side dart. The side dart is also called the bust dart. So the bust dart, to get your bust dart, you measure your full front chest line, your chest line to your waistline, divided by 2. That is the point you'll be starting from. In this case, I think I had 8.5. So my bust dart started from 4.25. So I connected it straight to my bust point. Yes, there's the middle of the lines, the distance between the waistline and the chest line, divided by 2. Yes, connect to your bust point. Then from your bust point, you mark 1 inch down. From your bust point, okay, I'm taking my half inch measurement for my dart. I'm not connecting it directly. I'm supposed to mark out 1 inch. Yes, so then I can connect my side dart or my bust dart. It's just as simple as this, guys. If you can go this far and understand it, you can make a simple garment. You can make blouses, fitted blouses, free blouses. This is just the bodice a draft that you need to make them. Okay, so because of the dart that, when you catch this dart now, the buzz dart, the top becomes shorter, so we're extending the 1 inch downwards below, you get, and now we're blending it to the center front of these bodies, you understand, so that when we catch it, it's going to have a funny shape now, but when you catch that dart, you sew the dart, the shape becomes balanced. Yes, because we are catching the 1 inch that we extended from the dart, so it becomes really balanced. So please guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new. Share my channel with your family and friends. Click on the notification bell to get notifications when I post new videos. So this is the zipper allowance that I was telling you guys about. Yes, I forgot to talk about it in the beginning. So now I'm cutting out the bodice block. So I'm cutting from the back. I want to take out the back first. So you see, I didn't trace from the front armhole. I'm cutting from the back block first. Yes, I'm just going down from my allowance, my sewing allowance. I'm going cutting it downwards. Okay, this is your basic block. This is basically your basic block. With this you can make a top, you can make a dress. When you want to make a dress, you just extend it to the length of the dress that you want, and hopefully when we get to that stage, you also see how that works. So for anybody who wants to learn how to sew, this is the easiest part that you should learn. Yeah, so this is me cutting my back neckline. Okay, so I've separated the basic bodice block from the excess pattern paper. So this is the front and this is the back. So what I did now is that I took my thumb tag. Yes, so thumb tag are those pins that you use to hold papers down on boards, important papers or information on the board. So I'm using it here to punch holes in the important lines on the back, so that once I go, you see, I'm pointing all the darts, I'm punching all the holes on the dart. Yes, I'm pointing all the holes. I'm trying to make the lines. So when I remove my front bodice, at the back, I'm going to see the holes that I punched. Yes, you could do this, or you use a tracing wheel to just trace out your lines, or you still place it on and trace it out. So, but if you look closely, you see the points, the holes. Forget about my marker was really pouring, the ink was just pouring, so that's why you have some dots. But if you go closely, you will see the points that my thumb tag punched. So I'm just joining the holes together, yes, to get my lines back. So now I'm going to the darts. If you look closely, you will see the holes. Forget about the marker dots that you're seeing. My marker ink was overpouring, hence the dots you can find everywhere. But if you use a pen or a pencil, your holes will show clearly. So this is me trying to draw my back dart, transfer my dart to the back. So I know a lot of people that make clothes without back darts. To me, I don't really work with back darts because my back is kind of flat. What I work more is my zip allowance, the dart, the curve, to avoid the bulge on the zip allowance. That is what I work most with. I don't really work with back darts because your back is flat, sort of. Yes. So the place that has the curve is your zip allowance. Hence, I love to put in the curve and the zip allowance. But this back dart, I believe that you can do without it because I've made a lot of garments without it. So this is the most important dart for me at the back. So from my zip allowance of almost 2 inches, I'm taking out ½ inch at the waist. Okay, I'm just making my zip allowance line visible. Yes. So I'm taking out ½ inch on the waist the way I marked. Okay, took out ½ inch on the zip allowance side, then I attached it. I took off ½ inch on the zip allowance side, then I attached it to my neckline. Yes, the upper part of the back bodice. Yes, like so. Then I also stretch it down to my hip line. So you can see that this is that excess, the zip bulge that you see in some garments. Now when you cut like this and you take out some allowances on the waist, it prevents that from occurring. So if you have not been doing this to your garments, please try to take them out. It really gives your garment a very perfect shape. So this is basically it. Yeah. So this is my front and my back. Now I'm removing my zip allowance from my front because I don't need it. I only used it to make it easier for me. So I'm taking out the excess, and I'm also cutting out the neckline, cutting out the neckline, the front neckline. So and I'm also trimming out the armhole for the front. Okay, so this is it. So I can say for a fact that my front bodice is ready to be used. Yes, ready to be used. Just transfer it into your clothes, any clothes that you want to sew. So I'm extending my darts so that I can notch it in the fabric and know where I'm going to start from. In taking the dart. Yes, so this is just how you draw your basic bodice block. This is basically how you do that. So I forgot to talk about how you take your horizontal measurements. To place your horizontal measurements on your pattern draft, you would have to divide them by 4. That is, if your bust is 40, you divide it by 4, it will give you 10. It is that 10 inches that you place on your pattern paper. Okay, that was just to correct any mistake and the omission that I didn't see. So this is me right here now trying to trim off the excess at the back to prevent the zip from bulging. So at the end of the day, this is how your back pattern will be, and this is also your front. So guys, this is the end of this tutorial on basic bodice pattern block drafting. I hope that you don't have any misunderstanding, but if you have any question that you would like for me to explain further, I would appreciate you dropping a comment on my comment section. Thank you so much for all that your support thus far. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and share with your family and friends. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.